Good morning, everybody. This is your host, Anthony. Be honest. Oh, hang on a minute. I forgot one more thing. Well, two things actually. Recording audio and gotta have that music going on. As soon as it starts, there we go. Yeah. So good morning, guys. It is May the 16th. But right now, me and Greg are actually recording this the night before because we have obligations to fill. Anyways, as I state, and as you can see my screen, joining me this tonight/morning is none other than Greg Dietz.
What's up, everybody? I'm playing Tetris.
Is this the Tetris that's actually kind of broken on the PS4? Or on the
Xbox One.
Xbox One, yeah.
It's not that the Tetris itself is broken. It's that this controller isn't utilized for the precision that Tetris needs.
Right.
Like, because the controller's designed for first-person shooters, where it's supposed to be a little bit more loose and free-flowing. But at least that's how I've always taken the Xbox One controller. However, when you need it to just like a fucking piece to stop. But the controller's like, I'm gonna push it forward just one more. You're like, God, I get it. Goddamn, stop it.
Gotcha. So we have multiple topics this morning. For there's a ton of stuff going on. E3's around the corner, so much more of this will be coming up soon. Like
we're gonna have to have like a super special E3 episode.
Oh, there's no doubt. We always do to some degree. But
I'm talking about like that Saturday morning after the week of E3. We're gonna have like a fucking 3-hour episode, and I'm not kidding.
Yeah, be one hell of. We could do like a special on it.
That's what I'm saying is like we'll definitely have to plan that shit out so the audience. Our audience, you lovelies out there, will have to understand and maybe we'll split it up into different segments. I don't know. Anthony's the boss of that shit, but there's going to be too much news to sit there and try to jam pack into 1 hour.
Agreed. I think it's something I can definitely look into. But first off, let's begin some of the news topics of the day. So where to begin? I think since we're on the topic of E3, so I was unaware of this. But apparently Square Enix press conference was conflicting with another press conference at the time when they announced it. Since they were scheduled, and I actually get the full schedule right now of the entire press conference. So
nice.
Yeah. So the entire press conference has been laid out. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 8 press conferences this year, which is
fuck my balls.
Yeah, I know, right?
Does that include Nintendo Direct?
Yes. So here from left to right, here are the press conferences. So we got Bethesda, Microsoft, EA, Ubisoft, Sony, Nintendo, Square Enix, and PC gaming show.
PC?
Yeah, PC announced recently that they're having their own press conference as well.
Who? Okay, hold on. First off, that's very, very confusing considering that Microsoft and Sony, that makes sense. They have one console. Who's hosting the PC one?
I believe. Oops. Hang on a minute. Let me scroll this over.
Because there's too many variables in that to just be like PC's hosting one. It's like that doesn't make any sense.
I can actually look it up for you right now, because I remember seeing that and I was like, oh, they're having their own press conference. Let's see. But yeah, I do know that it's happening, and
I mean that's rad if it is, and I'm not against it. I'm just because you get what I'm saying. All the other ones have it makes sense, but that one's I'm like, what?
Right.
Who the hell?
Yeah. As I'm trying to look further right now. They did announce they're having their own press conference. I want to say that Cliffy B is hosting it, but I could be wrong. Cliffy B's been not as busy as of late ever since he left Epic, but he has some new thing happening pretty soon. So I wouldn't doubt he'll show it at E3.
Well, I guess more so what I mean by hosting is that like there when you go and have a PC, and it's, you know, it's got something by Nvidia in it, and then it's got something by IBM in it, and then it's got something by whoever else. Like, my point is that there's not one, like, who is putting on the PC one for the sake of, because I have to imagine that whoever's putting it on, they're going to concentrate on games coming out for PC. And I'm just I'm very curious as to how that's going to work.
Right. At the moment, I'm kind of having a hard time finding it. I do know it is happening, and it's listed on the schedule.
All right, cool. I mean,
yeah.
You don't have to keep looking for it, because if you can't find it right now, you're not going to be able to find it while we're talking. But
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, like fucking, and this is recorded, so I can't ask the chat.
Right. For those who are watching, yes, this is recorded, so yeah, you can talk to us.
Respond to the chat. There's why.
there's a reason for it. But yeah, like there's a ton of E3 press. Let me probably real quick just look for myself. There's a ton of press conference happening this year, which is new.
Yeah, that is. You said what, 8 or 9?
8. So
God, that's so many.
So here's the thing, though. It starts as early as Sunday. So it starts on June 14th. At 6:30 p.m. is Bethesda. And then 9:30 a.m. for Microsoft. That's for Monday, I believe. Which makes sense. Monday is usually the big day for press conferences. So Monday would be Microsoft 9:30 in the morning, EA 1 o'clock, Ubisoft at 3 p.m., and Sony at 6 p.m. And then on Tuesday, it would be 9 a.m. for Nintendo. These are all Pacific time, by the way. 10 a.m. is Square Enix. And then 5 p.m. is the PC Gaming Show. I guess they have a... Oh, yeah, that's a different time zone.
You know what I was just thinking? What we could do is... and this could be weird, but hear me out, and we'll get a reaction from the audience if how they feel about it as well. But instead of waiting until Saturday to talk about everything, how about we do a quick 20 to 30 minute podcast after every single press conference, as long as they're not back to back?
If it's possible, yes. It's also a matter of if I'm going to be here, because I have school.
I thought you were graduating.
I am, but I won't graduate till like June 13th. But I got finals on that same week. It's kind of weird. It also, if I have that day off though, then I can do it. I hope. I mean, because like the final schedules are a bit different.
Well, because what I was thinking was like combining each of the recorded podcasts into one. I mean, if it doesn't work, we'll just do a single fucking massive podcast at the end of the week. But
right, definitely. I'll be down for that for
sure. Okay, well let me know your schedule. We should probably get back to topics and not talk about future things.
Right, definitely. So yeah, so a ton of E3 is happening pretty soon, and that was just kind of a preview of what's to come in terms of what they're showing. If anything, what we'll probably end up doing is like just recording a podcast, kind of our predictions for what's going to happen for each press conference.
We should definitely do that the Saturday before.
Yeah, definitely. So the other things that were happening around the game industry news. So the first 6 Rock Band 4 songs were revealed recently. And I actually had the list right here. So here are the first 6. And actually, let me. Is it by myself? Okay, yeah, let's take it. So, it is. The first song is "Hail to the King" by Avenged Sevenfold. "You Make Lovin' Fun" by Fleetwood Mac. "Laserito" from Jack White. "Somebody Told Me" from The Killers. "Little Miss Can't Be Wrong" by Spin Doctors. And "The Seeker" by The Who. Now, in terms of like, I'm not gonna be too critical of what song choices they made for this game. Like, there's gonna be a ton of songs in this game, regardless. I was just kind of, it's a bit odd to kind of
underwhelming.
No, not underwhelming. Just kind of odd, like to announce like these are the first 6 songs in our game that's gonna have a shit ton of more songs to come. Just to say that we have songs in the game. I don't know.
Well, I think that those were announced firstly because IGN was doing a preview stream of it today, and those were the 6 that they were given.
That's true.
And I think that the only reason that they were given those 6 was because those are the ones that are finished. I mean, granted, I could be wrong considering the game's coming out like right around the fucking corner, but I don't think there's anything special behind those specific songs in terms of like why they were chosen to be shown off first.
Mm-hmm.
I think that maybe it was just like they just picked 6. They were like, oh, these 6, like, or each of the developers was like, you got to pick a song, and they were like, oh, that'd be really cool to show off this one, like. And that's the other thing about Harmonix that I've talked about before on this podcast and others. They know music very well. Like, all of them have been in a band at one point. All of them follow music very strongly, so whatever music choices that they have in it, even if it's songs I haven't heard, which more than half of those I have no idea what songs those are, other than the Fleetwood Mac one. And I still have the utmost confidence in their game. I even watched some of that stream today where IGN was playing Rock Band 4. And a lot of the people in the chat were just like, it looks just like the same, it just looks like the same, Guitar Hero's got the leg up on this. And I'm like, y'all don't know what the fuck you're talking about. The guys at Guitar Hero, as far as I could tell, with the past, they don't know jack shit about music. I talked about this on the last stream with when not last stream, but when Ramen and I were arguing about it, that when they did Through the Fire and Flames by Dragon Force, and there were actual notes that people had to hit that were nothing at all like or in the song. There were actual notes that were not in the song just to make it fucking hard. And I know in my heart that Rock Band, that Harmonix will not do that. So they can have a bunch of fucking songs that no one's ever heard of. They could put all the indie bands they want in there, and it wouldn't matter. They still sold me. I'm still gonna get it if I can.
The other thing about it too is like this is because it happened before. Well, they would put songs of unknown bands into the game, and like people got interested in those bands and checked them out later on. So it could very much be the same thing where like you may not hear this band, but if you play it and then you like it, you might actually go buy their album or check them out later on.
Well,
so
yeah, like there's been a bunch of bands from Rock Band that I had that experience with. So absolutely.
Definitely. So, I'm more than anything, we'll see more at E3. I need to look into more on the Rock Band. There was some stuff that my brother was talking to me about the game that I completely forgot about at the moment. But the game, from what I've heard, or people are really hype about. I like the fact that Rock Band and Guitar Hero are 2 completely different styles of games. They're not essentially the same. Technically they are, but they're not.
I talked to the guy who runs Heat, Brian, who he's a big fan of rhythm games. As a matter of fact, it's probably the best genre he is good at. But I mean, he even has like the world record in Samba de Amigo. So, I mean,
wow,
that counts for anything. But but him and I were talking about it, and I immediately was just like, because him and I were laughing about how at the second that Rock Band 4 was announced, Activision's like, yeah, we got Guitar Hero, we got Guitar Hero coming out. It's like, all right, guys, it's like the little brother of the big brother who's like, Big Brother's like, yeah, it's cool, whatever, no big deal, and little brother's like, me too, me too, me too, and I have that little brother, so it makes sense, at least to me. But the second that we saw the actual device, the actual guitar for Guitar Hero or Guitar Hero Live as it's called, it was interesting that they have six buttons and they're back to back, so you only need to use 3 fingers technically. Like, that was a really interesting take. However, and something I'd like to point out is how integrated is that going to be in the game? Is it just going to be there? Is it just going to be a thing? Or is it are they actually going to is it actually going to feel like I'm playing a guitar? Because granted, yes, I'm just hitting in Rock Band, I am just hitting 5 buttons and hitting a strum, like, oh, okay, it works. But at the end of the day, I want to feel like I've played a song, because every time I strum, a sound is being made. I don't want to have to hit arbitrary buttons and strums to make a song harder,
Right, definitely. There's definitely a big difference in what the type of direction that both companies are, and I really enjoy the fact that they're doing that, because, like, as we've seen in previous years, they oversaturated the market of both games essentially doing the same thing, and not much of a difference, except for the songs and bands that were exclusives to one console or another, or one game to another.
What's funny is one of the guys from Harmonix was in an interview a long time ago, like shortly after the decline of sales on those, and he was essentially blaming Activision for the decline of those specific rhythm games. That him and his team were never interested in making so many copies. This is why they really enjoyed DLC. It allowed for them to keep coming out with new content. When they made Rock Band 2, the only reason they made Rock Band 2 was because they realized that their system for calibration and the visuals and then the guitar itself, like, everything needed to be upgraded. And the only way to do that properly is by coming out with a sequel. And then with Rock Band 3, they wanted to add a new instrument, the guitar, or the keytar. But those are the only ones that they were really like, yeah, we got to do this. And they fought tooth and nail to have, like, the Beatles and to have, the Lego one, because they felt like those were worth people's time and money more than just a comprehensive list of what could potentially be DLC, but now is being released as a fucking standalone game. That's what they didn't want. They didn't want DLC as a standalone game. And I don't feel like Rock Band ever had that, except for maybe Green Day.
Right.
Because the Beatles one... The Beatles one was really interesting because you could have essentially gotten those Beatles songs as DLC.
You could have.
But if you played the game, it became more than that. It became a history lesson of the Beatles, essentially, which was really fucking cool. So I don't know. I'm always gonna be sucking Harmonix's dick for years to come, and I know that because Guitar Hero has a quote-unquote new thing, they'll sell more than Rock Band.
Yeah.
It's gonna suck, but...
Time will only tell whether that tactic will work or not, but we'll see where the crowd is more drawn into, so we'll definitely see it for sure. Again, most of the stuff we'll talk about will probably be more seen at E3 pretty soon.
Oh, I'm excited.
Sticking to the E3 theme, so quick note, Nintendo says that there's going to be no NX or smart devices announcement at E3, which probably means that they're going to focus more on the games in terms of like what they want to really focus on. And which, it's fine. I think it's far too early to even show anything NX-wise. Or, whatever Nintendo next system they're working on. Because, that name's going to be changed.
Yeah.
It's going to...
You were saying NX, and I kept thinking of Dina, and I was like, why aren't they showing fucking mobile stuff? That's just weird. Like, that should be the thing that they should show. But yeah, no, I got you. They're talking about the next console.
Yeah, definitely. So like
It's way the fuck too early for that.
It is. It's way too early. If anything, like they might mention it, but it won't. If anything, they're just gonna show more other games, specifically probably more about Splatoon and other games that are in the works for. So, yeah, I'm not surprised.
I hope they have some big announcements. Like I said before, Nintendo's bread and butter are their own IPs, and they're gonna have to come out with, like
Mario Maker.
God, no. See, here's the thing: Mario Maker may be cool and it may be a neat product, but it's not a new fucking Mario game.
It isn't.
It's a device that is just you make your like. That's not. No, Nintendo, no. Come out with the new Star Fox, or at least fucking announce it. Give us a release date for Woolly World if there isn't one already, and I'm just talking on my ass.
Mm-hmm.
Give us some more information on the new Legend of Zelda. What other IPs do you have? Maybe a fucking new Metroid Prime series. I don't know.
Nah, they're not gonna go back to that for a long time.
Well, quit jacking off with their goddamn franchises and come out with some shit. Like, this is the problem that Nintendo has. They love to innovate, and I'm totally cool with them innovating. But at a certain time of the day, if you want your company to flourish and not fucking go bankrupt like you've been on the fucking threshold of for the past few years, do some shit. Like, stop dicking around with your fucking product.
My vote is still bring back the vitality sensor. that was some
People
weird
want the vitality
shit.
sensor, Nintendo. Jesus Christ.
That was some weird shit. I very much agree. Like Nintendo, whenever it comes to first party stuff, it's always been top notch AAA stuff. That's always been good and fun. Whenever it comes to third party stuff, it's never been their strong point, with the exception of a few. In terms of what games they can announce, like. I know Mario Maker is gonna be up there. I know they're gonna be talking about Splatoon because it would have just been recently released. No Zelda's coming out this year. They said it's been delayed till next year.
They need to come out with some details. Like they need to give us something.
Maybe, I don't know.
Whistle.
Star Fox. I hope they show something. They better. That thing's been under wraps for a bit. As far as anything else wise, like maybe another Mario game of some sort. Oh wait, we're thinking Yoshi.
I was thinking Mario, but at the same time, here's the issue that I see with, like, I'm trying to think of all the Nintendo franchises that, maybe a new Kirby, maybe fucking. I'm looking at the roster in my head of Nintendo characters. Maybe announce fucking Earthbound 2, which is Mother 3, like shit like that, man.
That
like,
shit will blow people's minds if that ever happened.
Man, I just don't understand Nintendo's like, we don't want to supply and demand. What's that? That's not smart business. You don't supply and demand. You don't have your product be demanded and then not supply it. Like,
right.
I'm stumbling over my own words because Nintendo is driving me nuts. Because the last thing I want is Nintendo to go bankrupt. I love Nintendo. I truly, truly do.
What if? And this is gonna be a little crazy because if they announce this at E3, it would kind of be like going ahead of their schedule. What if they announce at E3 a trailer of the character that was voted into Smash?
That would be legit. that would be
sick.
Very legit. Like they're like, we're starting production on his character right now, blah blah blah, and like everyone loses their mind. Like you have to give the people what they want. There's a reason that Smash sold a shit ton. There's a reason that fucking Mario Kart sold a shit ton.
Mm-hmm.
You know that the new Zelda will sell. Stop this fucking steamboat shit that you have going on, or whatever the hell it is.
Right.
And get back to your basics, man. Like, fucking come on.
Yeah. So we'll definitely have to wait and see in terms of like how it would go. I mean, it's just going to be a video. They're going to just air online anyway, so they're not going to be physically. But like,
well, it's easier for them to do that because when they get, like the people who don't speak English very well.
Yeah.
They get those people on camera, they can edit those. Like, I'm sure they're filming those now.
I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, definitely. I was good to wait and see. I think that they'll show something. I mean, when in doubt, just announce there's more amiibos coming. So whatever.
Yeah.
Let's see what else I'm gonna talk about. Okay, so okay. I was one of those people who were on the side of Assassin's Creed when it first came out. That was when it first came out. I was on the side that actually liked it. People were divided because like it was the same game, or it was like some of the missions were.
What Assassin's Creed did you say?
The first one, and there was
who was against it? I love that one.
I liked it too. Like there are people who said like the game was redundant or like was really repetitive, and you can argue it was. I was more on the side that the art style was just really good.
Let me give you a little thing here. A lot of people will say a game is repetitive if they feel like they're not doing anything that's advancing the game. So like let's take Portal for example. Portal is pretty goddamn repetitive when you get down to brass tacks, because all you're doing is shooting portals around rooms. What made Portal not feel repetitive was the way the level design played out. Every single game that has a simple mechanic will be quote-unquote repetitive. But as long as the developers made good game design, it won't be. And to me, I didn't see Assassin's Creed 1 being that way.
Right, definitely. So the reason why I bring it up is because recently they announced a new Assassin's Creed called Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and it takes place in England. It's during the kind of Industrial Revolution.
That's exactly when it takes place. Actually, at the end of the Industrial Revolution.
Right. And the combat mechanics are different. Instead of using a sword, you have a gun, a dagger, and you use your hands. So you're usually fighting with your fists. So and it takes a different direction in terms of like how each Assassin's Creed was before it. This is more about using games to your advantage and kind of working your way up to eventually, get after the Templars. So I was watching this in class, like, a good college student would. The first thought that came to mind was that I'm really getting tired of the Assassin's Creed games in terms of like how often they come out and how quickly they come out. But at the same time, I am actually pretty intrigued with the setting with this game. I kind of want to see where exactly this kind of leads into, because like eventually, what I wanted to see out of like in the start of the series is eventually have Assassin's Creed take place in the future, and like have like this futuristic battle between the Templars and the Assassins.
Here's why you'll never see that. So when you look at the Assassin's Creed franchise, what it is fictional history. You can't keep that motif of fictional history going if you have it in the future. It doesn't work that way. Then it just becomes science fiction. As cool as that would be, and how often I've heard that, Anthony, people genuinely want that. Now, don't get me wrong. People loved Black Flag, hated Unity. Well, Unity was just bad because it was an unfinished game, but also Arno was not a fucking good protagonist. He was fucking boring. But I mean, Assassin's Creed right now has a lot of issues, and that's when Desmond died at the end of Revelations.
Spoilers.
No, 3. Sorry, 3. Also, that game's fucking 3's been out forever, so
I know.
That's a spoiler for you. I'm sorry. But when he died, the franchise kind of died with him. Don't get me wrong. I mean, like fucking Black Flag and Unity sold way too much. for what they were. That's not true. And that's also not fair to Black Flag because it was a great. Anyway, point I'm getting at. It's going to keep creeping up slowly, closer and closer to modern times, but we're never actually going to get to that stuff. And the other thing about the storyline that's really bizarre is that the further and further we get, or closer and closer that we get to our timeline, the more and more the Templars seem to be winning, even though as we play as the assassins, we're kicking the living shit out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the logic doesn't seem to fit, does it?
Yeah, that's
if we're
true.
The protagonists, if we're the protagonists as the assassins, kicking the living shit out of the antagonists, which are the Templar, yet every single time we pick up a new game, the Templar are winning, we're like, what the fuck happened between the games? Like, why is this a thing suddenly?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is definitely something that I'm not sure if they address in some of their games, but that is a good point to point out. Like, how can we still win all these quote-unquote wars when the Templars are still winning, unless all these battles we've been taking place in are like just much smaller than the actual like war is just much bigger than.
Right. Well, I would hope so. And also, I have to admit, I honestly have no idea what happens in Black Flag or Unity when it comes to Abstergo and the other big like the Templars in general, or what's happening in the future time, because I haven't played those games to know, or at least watched Let's Plays of them to know. I'm thinking about actually doing, because there's this cool thing you can do on YouTube where people take all the cutscenes and partial game footage, and they make what's considered a movie version of whatever game. So that way you can just get the story, which is kind of rad. But I might do that for Black Flag and Unity, just so that way I can understand exactly what's going on with certain aspects. Because I kept up with the game until Desmond died. And then when he died, and it was like the way that he died, and it was anticlimactic, and I was just like, this is stupid. This was a really bad ending. Mainly because it was anticlimactic, but
the reason why I bring it up is because I feel like I'm not sure if anybody else feels it, and maybe it's just me. And the numbers don't lie. People still love the series and the game, and they'll still buy tons of it. But do you think that it, like, eventually will hit like Assassin's Creed fatigue as much as we had with other games, like I won't say Call of Duty, but like other games kind of similar to that ilk?
Yes, but only because like a game like Call of Duty that comes out every year, or a sports game that comes out every year, there are going to be people who are just going to be all over it because they're simple games. They're very simple games. Or at least with sports, it's kind of like, well, if you're buying the sports game, then you're obviously a big enough fan to purchase it, so good on you. But with Assassin's Creed, there's a hell of a lot more involved than just playing the game. Like, a lot more involved. Like, I've never played an Assassin's Creed that didn't have a fuck ton of story. I mean, realistically, what sells games like Call of Duty or Madden is their multiplayer aspect. Well, Unity's was terrible and didn't even have a versus, as far as I remember. I could be wrong about that. Apparently, Black Flag's versus was terrible, or online multiplayer was terrible, and this new one, Syndicate, doesn't even have one. So, when you come out with a franchise that's strictly story yearly, I mean, you're really pushing that whole, like, people getting tired of your shit. This is why a lot of the better franchises take 2 to 3 years between sequels.
Right, and the thing is, though, I think the quote that I hear, might have been Adam Sessler who said this, but how can I miss you if you're always there? You know, like how can I be wanting a game if I'm always getting a constant feed of the same thing, or a game but different directions, to put it simply.
Right. I think that there's a gentle balance when it comes to how often a game should come out or if a sequel should come out. Like we were just talking about how Nintendo hasn't come out with a new thing for certain franchises, aka Star Fox, Metroid, for a long time. And I mean, shit, the last Metroid game was Fusion, and that was on the Game Boy Advance. Mm-hmm. So it's been a while. Like, when was the last Star Fox game I can think of? The new Star Fox game was Star Fox Assault on the GameCube.
No, actually, well, shit, you might be right on now. Because I was to say, like, wasn't there like a Star Fox game that released on the 3DS?
I think that was just Star Fox 64.
Okay.
I could be wrong about that. I'm gonna look that up right now. But point is that you need to come out with them often enough, but not too often. That's why I say a franchise that wants to stay popular and stay amongst their fans, 3 years, 2 to 3 years is perfect.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not an overabundance. It's just right. I mean, and this is also saying this in the vein of that. Call of Duty comes out every year and they still sell an ass ton of copies. So
yeah.
But I think Call of Duty is also a different breed entirely because I know people who buy that game for the multiplayer only.
Mm-hmm. It is it's a definitely different breed. I would say Assassin's Creed might be entering that. I'm not quite sure if it is yet. They're still selling a good enough amount of copies of the game from continue the series, but time only tell. Maybe it is becoming one of those things where, like, you know, just the name alone just get people to buy it regardless, you know, good or bad. But
Star Fox Command was the last Star Fox game, and that was on the 3DS, and that came out in 2006.
Okay.
The one before that was Assault, and that was, I know that was GameCube. I don't remember what year.
Gotcha.
2005. So yeah, still, I mean, if that's the case, like 2006, we're hitting up this the 9th year that we have not had a Star Fox. Like, they did release on the 3DS Star Fox 64 3D, but that's not a new Star Fox game.
Right. Yeah. Just a re-release, like many other games, as late. So funny enough, as people are hearing in the background, the Castlevania theme song going on right now. Recently, there's been 2 Kickstarters that were funded, and 2 of which were one of them was called Bloodstained. There was some other other sub name to that, but basically, they meant
Ritual of the Night.
Yes, Ritual of the Night. Basically, Koji, he, the guy who created Castlevania made a Kickstarter, and his new game is funded within hours. And
they were originally asking for $400,000 or $500,000, and they not only hit that within hours, but like they not only hit it, but they fucking crushed it. Like, it was like 700,000 after like hour 2.
Mm-hmm.
And now, at this exact moment, I just looked it up on my computer here. It's at over 2 million.
Right, definitely. It's crazy. And then the other Kickstarter that was recently also funded as well was Yooka-Laylee, which was the former Rare guys who made Banjo-Kazooie. Essentially made... They're essentially making Banjo 3 without Banjo and Kazooie.
Because Rare still owns them.
And it is definitely a different characters. Like, it's a giant lizard and a small bat, and it's basically the same thing as Banjo-Kazooie, just like different species and whatnot. But
I have to say, I do like the name of Yooka-Laylee more than Banjo-Kazooie. Just because Banjo and a Kazooie are 2 different instruments. Mm-hmm. But a Yooka-Laylee is one instrument, and they're one character. Like, I really dig that.
The funny thing is Yooka-Laylee is actually the beta name for Banjo 3.
Was it really?
Yes. At least to my knowledge. I could be wrong, but that's what I remember hearing. It's like it was the beta name for Banjo 3. So, yeah, that's great. So yeah, like with both these Kickstarter games being funded, and exactly the games that I think people. The question was really like, was there an audience for those type of games? Like, was there still a big enough audience to care that much? And from these Kickstarters, it showed that there's definitely still a big audience. And I'm really excited for both games when they come out eventually.
My thing is that, first off, I'm not a big fan of Banjo and Kazooie because I'm not a fan of collectathons. If that's what Yooka-Laylee is going to be, then yes, then I'm not going to play it. Like, I don't like DK64, I don't like Banjo-Kazooie, and I don't like games that force you to collect things in order to move on. That being said, there's clearly a huge fan base for it. And in no way, shape, or form would I ever tell those people, like, you don't deserve a new game that's just like it. I've never played Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which is, the guy who's making Bloodstain. That's his big game. That's his big thing. His big masterpiece that people loved, and the reason that they're spending money on Bloodstain. I will still probably play both those games simply because of the history that they've made with Kickstarter.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, it's bizarre that we live in a time where it's more interesting to go and play a Kickstarted game than it is to wait in line at a GameStop to buy the newest big AAA game.
Yeah, it's definitely. But here's the thing too about it too. It's like there are less AAA games coming out because of the ridiculous amount of money to make them, and there's been more indie developed games that have been coming out and becoming more popular. That some of these big companies are starting to pick up. We're talking about like Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo on our platform to help them promote. The thing about about Kickstarter and with these games being funded rather quickly is that, and this is something that they've done in the past with other Kickstarter games or any other game that was funded, was that they're bypassing the publisher. Usually you have to go through the publisher to have it approved or not. But because of both these games were denied or was overlooked by the publishers who would see this as not affordable, like the people are out there and they're voicing their opinion with the dollars. It's like, hey, this is the stuff we want. This is the stuff that we're really excited for. And if you can't see that, then we'll take our money to the person who actually created the game or create something very similar to it. Right. So I like that aspect. I mean, there's definitely still that fear of like, somebody promising a game and just running away with the money and like, screwing everybody else, which has happened before. But it's always a dice roll when it comes to these things, and you have to be sure that who you want to fund and whatnot.
Yeah, somebody was talking about that a while back. I think it was I was listening to Funhouse's podcast. I can't think of the word podcast. The thing that we're doing right now. And they were describing how like enjoying a Kickstarter or funding a Kickstarter is a dangerous thing, just because you run into that chance of your money not going anywhere. And I totally get that. But I think that's another reason why like things like these, they get funded so much quicker and so not frivolously, but so with some ferocity. There we go. With such ferocity, is because there's history there. It's like walking into a job interview, and the guy ahead of you has no experience with customer service, but you have a ton of experience with customer service. They're going to look at your application or your ability to work there quicker over him. Same goes for these. Like people go, well, they made Banjo-Kazooie, so we know that they can put out a quality product, and we know that they're trustworthy because they came out with Banjo-Kazooie, so we'll just throw money at them. I really think that's why a lot of these games get made and why they get funded so quickly. Is just simply because of the history.
Yeah, that is definitely what it is, and it's a dice roll for most of the time. But I think that these two Kickstarter games, I think, would prove that these are men, these are people who know what they're doing, and I mean that's what hoping everything goes well, that they'll put out a great game. But time will only tell. Who knows? What was I gonna say? Oh man, I just lost train of thought. Hate when that happens. But speaking of developer, because that's right. I suggest anybody who is interested, definitely check out Kind of Funny Games interview with Koji. It was very interesting interview they did with him, and they asked him all sorts of questions in terms of like his history with the company, with Konami, and with Castlevania and what happened and whatnot. So it's very interesting interview to check out. But speaking of Konami can't seem to like stop, It's like they accelerated in the past 3 weeks, from being, into the game industry to like quickly exiting out in the most rapid pace I've ever seen any game company do.
Yeah.
So recently, PT was taken off of PSN, and you can no longer share play it or download it. And there were even some reports that if you download it, like it would lock your other games as well. I'm not sure if that was confirmed or not, but I saw somebody talk about that amongst other people online. And then on top of that, there was this YouTuber who runs a series called Super Bunny Hop. And he does some great work. And recently, his stuff was DMCA. Like Konami went and put on YouTube and DMCA his video. And since then, the interesting thing about this is that YouTube actually went in and like looked at this claim that Konami put on the channel and said, there's some missing evidence. There's some missing stuff from Konami's side that is claiming that this video or this YouTube channel is doing any wrongdoing or copyrights. So
right, that was the big thing, was that when the guy who runs Super Bunny Hop went in and was like, he protested it, not protested it, but what do you call that when you do that? You
appeal it.
Appeal it. Thank you. I can't think of the word appeal. They went in and they looked at the video itself, and they were like, there's nothing here for any reason whatsoever that we should continue with a strike on his channel or take this information off. Like, first off, it's all hearsay. Mm-hmm. This, like, and here's my thing. First off, Konami was like, it's all untrue. None of what that said in that video is true. But make sure you take it down anyway. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You've just told the world that everything in that video is true.
Mm-hmm. Or
that is exactly what you've done.
Or to some degree, like, has shown that some of that holds some truth. Which I would not be surprised if all of it is true. And I won't be surprised if some of it is true.
Is when in journalism, if you have an anonymous source, you cannot put up that anonymous source without two anonymous sources saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The reason being is that it could all be bullshit. Like, it could just be one person making a bunch of shit up. But if you have two unrelated sources that are anonymous collaborating on the same story, then you can put it up and you can say this is what was said and happened. Super Bunny Hop's video is literally like, oh, this one guy said all this stuff, and it could totally be bullshit. And what Konami could have done, left the video alone. Just said, whatever. If it's not true. If it's not true, it's not true.
Mm-hmm.
But the second that Konami put a strike on the channel and demand that it be taken down, they literally told the world, all this stuff in this video is true. And we want to burn the Metal Gear franchise to the ground. And we fired Kojima because of some frivolous ass shit. Like, it's unbelievable. Konami is killing themselves, and there's no reason why.
Yeah. The thing about it too is that it seems to me that they are quickly wanting to get out of the game industry and focus more on what makes them money. And right now, what makes them money more so is the casino thing, the sports bar they have in Japan. Majority of their money is coming out of Japan, and not less into their video game market. Recently, also to kind of add to this, Konami's new CEO said that mobile is the future of gaming. Is Konami's main platform, which also adds to the fact that they are wanting to get out of the console game industry business into the mobile market, into the casinos, into everything else that's happening right now in Japan. Because mobile gaming in Japan is huge. It is undoubtedly pretty huge right now, and this kind of adds to everything we've seen so far out of Konami. It's sad to see just kind of how everything is going down. But again, another thing to add on to happen, and to go back on the Super Bunny Hop video, like when the guy, like apparently he wasn't awake, during this entire time. And didn't realize until later on that they took down the video but didn't put it back up. And YouTube actually stepped in for once and actually stood up to it for a YouTuber, which is rare.
It's actually very rare.
Yeah. So hopefully that's more of a thing to come when it comes to YouTube content, and actually have a person.
Sincerely hope that's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, like, apparently this ran throughout the game news, circles, through Kotaku, through Game Informer. Even some like the big personalities like Jim Sterling and Toto Biscuit were talking about just how unethical that Konami was doing for this video. They had basically wasn't infringing on anything, and it was not really breaking any laws or breaking any rules to have it on YouTube. So Konami, and to quote Jeff Gerstmann from Giant Bomb in his latest podcast, they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck about public opinion right now. So they want to do what they feel like.
That's fucking crystal clear.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really insane. But this is they don't care, and they want to get out of the game industry as fast as they could. So
they're working on it. I mean, they're doing a great fucking job at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if that's the case, if that's truly the case, is they just want out of the game industry because they want to make fucking monkey. They want to make money on pachinko machines, then by all means, just fucking then stop developing games, because at this point, people are going to fucking turn on you, in a heartbeat, and they're not going to buy your games anymore. Like the last game that anyone's ever gonna buy from you is fucking Metal Gear Solid 5, and that might not even sell. I mean, let's be honest, the fucking Metal Gear franchise does not sell well. I mean, I remember you and I had our long conversation about fucking the Ground Zeroes, because you were like, it's a fucking demo for $30, and I was like, well, it's not really a demo.
I still stand by that, by the way.
I still stand by it's not really a demo. I mean, I get your point. I get your point about it being a demo, because it's a demonstration of what the game is supposed to be. However, a demo is quite literally a demo. It's not a finished product. Ground Zeroes itself was a finished product.
Agree to disagree, but yeah, I don't want to get back into that. But yeah, it's kind of disheartening, but at the same time, like as we said prior, like in the last segment, like you see like these ex-Konami developers doing their own thing with Kickstarter and making the games that basically Konami was saying no to.
If Kojima tomorrow starts a Kickstarter where he's like, hey,
yeah,
I want to make this horror game that's similar to Silent Hill. Holy shit.
Yes. Oh my God. Can you imagine? Jesus. He would get easily like $1 million in a day. In a
In a
month.
day.
Just think of it.
If a day.
Just think about it in a month. Jesus, that man will have like at least 5 to 6 million, possibly. It's yeah. So
But Jim, if you're listening to this podcast, which you aren't, do that.
yeah. I'm just curious. Has Kojima's English gotten better? Like,
I don't know.
it's something I've always been curious about.
I'm sure right now he's in an NDA to not be in any interviews because he hasn't been.
That's true.
And he doesn't seem like the kind of guy to be like, I'm not going to talk about it. Boop, 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 boop.
No, he'll talk about it. Like, there's one thing. It's like there's gonna be like a be-all tell-all of like this entire situation soon, because you can't keep this information secret for this long. There's no way. There's no way. So last couple things I want to talk about real quick before we close out this show. Oculus confirms that they have a huge ass resolution, so 21 by 60 by 1200. They're also talking about recommended for PC specs. Basically, it's looking like the Oculus Rift is happening, and it's coming out early 2016. That's what last I read. So it's happening, and it's the year the VR, apparently, with everybody else doing their own thing. I'm still wondering how Valve's VR thing holds up, because apparently what I've heard is that people saying like that's the real VR, not Oculus Rift. So
here's what VR is. Fucking 3D glasses at the movie theater. That's what VR is.
Agreed.
It's not going to last. It's a gimmick, and it's going to die.
Agreed. Because here's the thing I'll point out. It's an example. Remember, like, I think it was like, I want to say 5, maybe 7 years ago. Maybe longer than that. Remember how, like, 3D TVs were supposed to be the next big thing? And how they were pushing it hard in the game industry? And it didn't last long.
Here's the thing about people in general. They're going to pay money for what's comfortable, especially when it comes to entertainment. Sure, going to the theater and seeing a movie that's specifically filmed in 3D and dealing with the fact you have these glasses on your face the entire movie is fun. But doing it with every fucking movie is not. This is why the 3D movies have been declining in sales so fucking rapidly. This is literally why when my dad and I went to the theater, I don't know if I told you this. Long story short, we were in the wrong theater to see Avengers, and it was a 3D showing. When we went up to the counter, and I'm not joking, I was followed by a group of people who didn't realize that it was the 3D showing and wanted to go to the 2D. This is why when we were in the fucking, like, our 9:30 showing, which was a standard viewing, was packed. The theater was packed at 9:30 in the morning on a Friday. Yet, the theater at 10 o'clock with 3D showing had very few people.
Yeah.
This was opening day for Avengers.
Yeah.
Clearly there's a trend going on here. So, and this might just be my one experience with my one in the theater, but fuck it, if it's not a sign of the times, then I don't know what is. To me, having a giant thing of binoculars strapped to your head while you're trying to relax and enjoy a game is not what a lot of people are going to do. What Oculus Rift is going to be for is porn. I mean, if we're to be completely honest here, they're gonna do that.
Yeah, it's true.
The other thing it's going to be used for is gimmicky stuff. So a new game comes out and it's really cool. Like, I don't know, Mirror's Edge 2. Everyone's like, oh, Mirror's Edge 2, it's going to be rad.
No,
let's play with the Oculus Rift.
No,
you have a $5,000 computer?
Well, here's the thing. Even with that, here's the funny thing is, like, I actually did play with the Oculus Rift at my school. That had like an art gallery, and somebody made this kind of cool demo. And don't get me wrong, I put it on, and I was walking around like the demo they put up for it. It's really cool, but there was a moment where like I pushed on the thumbstick to go faster. That shit got me a little nauseous, because I was like, my brain is telling me like I'm actually moving fast, but I'm not moving, you know.
Right. It messes with your equilibrium.
Pretty much, and and I'm pretty sure like people go used to it when they play more Mirror's Edge on Oculus Rift. That happens, but goddamn, I'm already imagining people like getting sick or just freaking out, because like when you fall in that game, at least in Mirror's Edge, the first one, you actually like that shit actually feels like you're actually falling. It's the way that you fall, first person view, it feels very realistic. So I'm not sure if it's a good idea.
Right. Well, yeah, no, I agree. I was just pointing out, like, it like, I mean, I'm excited about it. I want to definitely try it out if I ever get the opportunity. I don't think I will, but if I do, I'll try it out because it's definitely a cool gimmick. It's like, this reminds me of the Wii U, not Wii U. I'm sorry, the Wii. You know, when the Wii first came out, everybody wanted one because it was a cool motion control mechanic. Like, no other game had that at the time, and it was a perfect opportunity to put it out there. Nintendo fucking nailed it with that thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But something that I personally experienced working at Walmart was that we were told constantly with the Wii that we had to sell games. Like, you need to push games. Well, that wasn't possible when people didn't want the games. They just wanted the fucking sports, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
That clearly was a problem. And then the second that everyone had a Wii and they announced the Wii U, I went to my sister and went, hey, so Nintendo's got this new console coming out. It's like the Wii, but it's got this cool, like, mode. She's like, well, if it's like the Wii, then why do I want it? I already have a Wii. Well, then, if that's your attitude and you're more inclined to do things that are more advanced or more progressive in terms of technology, and you're the type of person saying that, then what's the people who really bought the Wii back for the motion controls, what are they doing now? They're not going to buy the Wii U.
Yeah.
And sure enough, who was right? Who's sitting on his fucking throne over here?
I will say though, like out of everything I've seen VR wise, the only thing I'm really interested into the VR thing is what Microsoft's doing with their HoloLens. Because I'm not much less wanting to use it for gaming per se. I always like to have it on, like when I'm working on costumes. Just basically just be Tony Stark, just move stuff around. Like, okay, I need this piece for this piece and whatnot. I think that'd be pretty cool, and I think that has some potential.
I think there honestly is a lot of potential for the Oculus Rift. I just don't see it. I just don't see it as a viable income for Facebook, who owns it, right?
Yeah, Facebook owns it. For once, you know what's funny? For once, Facebook actually, like, they didn't touch it. Like, people were afraid that they're gonna make it turn into this other thing aside from a gaming device.
I saw all the videos where someone was like, there was this Oculus Rift video where someone was checking Facebook in their Oculus Rift. I was like, I get it. I get the joke.
Yeah. So if for once they haven't touched it and actually let them be, so that, you know, get on Facebook for actually following through with their promise. But yeah, like, it's time will only tell. I think you're right though. I do think it's a gimmick. And I think
it's a rad gimmick, but it's a gimmick.
Yeah, it's basically fulfilling or 80s and 90s wish, you know, fantasies of being able to do it. If there's one.
Let's talk about something like you're talking about fucking fulfilling a wish from when, you know, we were younger or whatever. I mean, let's talk about the fucking smartphone watches. Like, that's also a gimmick. It's an unnecessary piece of material, but
right.
It doesn't make it any less fucking cool.
That's true. I mean, if I wanted to be like a Power Ranger, I would just buy like a Pebble watch.
Actually, my buddy bought like 3 Power Ranger ringtones so that we could have his watch when he gets it.
That's awesome. That's great. Last bit of news I want to talk about real quickly. The April MPDs came out recently. And in the month of April, Xbox One outsold the PS4 for the first time, and I think in this current like next gen console wars so far. But in terms of like software sales, and I'll go from 10 to 1. So at number 10, Borderlands: The Handsome Collection with PS4 and Xbox One. At 9, Super Smash Brothers 3DS and NWO. I think that's Nintendo Wii U. I think I was talking about. 8 was Dark Souls 2: Scholar of the First Sin for PS4, Xbox One, 360, and PS3.
People love those fucking games. I don't understand it.
it's definitely a market out there for them, and it says, and it perfectly tells it right here for the sales. And
Oh,
number
I know. I just don't. I don't see. Like, I understand those games. Like, to me, those games would be more of a novelty than they are an actual like franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And which are fine as a novelty. I in no way, shape, or form should I say that they shouldn't be, but like they're just like fucking massively difficult, and people are like, yeah, I love being angry when I play games. I'm like, all right, you enjoy that.
If you want to play a game that kicks you in the balls, that's probably a good place to start.
Masochist gamers out there.
Oh,
Lots
yeah.
of them.
Definitely. Number 7 is Call of Duty Advanced Warfare with Xbox One, PS4, 360, PS3, and PC. 6 is NBA 2K15, probably because of the playoffs right now. Xbox One, PS4, 360, PS3, and PC. Minecraft still up there. Number 5 with 360, PS3, Xbox One, PS4. MLB 15 The Show at number 4 with PS4 and PS3. At number 3 is Battlefield Hardline, Xbox One, PS4, 360, PS3, and PC. This one I find surprising because when I saw the initial sales for this game on Steam, it was ridiculous. At number 2, Grand Theft Auto 5, PS4, Xbox One, PC, 360, and PS3. And the number 1 game of April, for the PS4 and Xbox One, none other than Mortal Kombat X.
That's number 1?
Yep. That is the number 1 selling game in April.
Would not have thought of that.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Does it say?
I mean, it's not a bad game.
Right, definitely. Sales were definitely up in April. I'll read this quick excerpt. This is from the Game Informer website. This month, Mortal Kombat X took the lead as software sales for consoles, handheld, and retail PC were up 10%, reaching $264.4 million. Only 3 of the top 10 titles were released in April 2014, inclusive of Grand Theft Auto 5 on PC, with another 3 released in March 2014. So, interesting stats for the month of April and just kind of where we're at in the game industry in a way.
Yeah.
But that's gonna do it for our show. Went on a little bit longer than expected, 7 minutes over, but who's counting? So before we go, we got let you know where we can find us at. So Greg, where can I find you on the internet?
Oh boy, where can you not find me? Is the question. No, you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram by searching for Chub Rock Geek. You can follow me on Half Empty Energy Tank if you search for that on Twitch. I stream right now. I'm streaming Child of Light until I beat it on Tuesdays, which apparently that's going to take me a while, and I'm going to be streaming whatever else on Wednesday. I don't really have anything at the moment. I could find something. I have plenty of games, but I just don't know yet. I've been playing Lifeless Planet for review, and I don't know that I could stream it.
Oh, is it one of those type of things where it's like it's NDA or?
So you basically you play as like if I were to play it, I'd have to talk a lot. Like there is no break for a streamer during that game.
Interesting.
To not talk. It's a wasteland, and your job as the player is to figure out the path you need to go. And as you go through the path, solving the puzzle of this world that you're on. So it's a very bizarre game, but I'm playing that right now, and I don't know. We'll see what I stream on Wednesday. I'm just saying, follow Half Empty Energy Tank. You'll see me there. I'm gonna try to start streaming The Witcher on this Twitch channel. I don't know the schedule yet. Probably in the mornings for a couple hours. But again, we'll see how I feel. I might just do like a super stream on like Wednesday or Saturday or Sunday for The Witcher. Let's see what else. Reviews on Mission Start Podcast. I actually got one coming out here soon. Because it's been a busy past month for me. Haven't been able to write a ton of reviews, and I've been meaning to write one for Oddworld New and Tasty, Mario Party 10, and Mortal Kombat X. So you're going to get a triple review. 3 games, 1 review.
Nice. Awesome.
So that'll come up soon. I'm working on that right now. And then next week, I'll have both this new Batman animated movie that came out. I don't remember the name of it, but I know it's new, and I'll be watching that, and I'll be reviewing it. And then on top of that, Lifeless Planet review, and eventually down the road a Witcher 3 review.
Awesome.
Lots of stuff coming from yours truly, Chubrock Geek.
Yay.
That's it.
Awesome. As Greg said, you can follow the work that me and Greg do on our website at missionstartpodcast.com. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, subscribe to us on Twitter, iTunes, and Stitcher. If you're watching this, be sure to subscribe to us on this Twitch channel. There will be more shows definitely coming in the summer that I have in the works or planning to do. And much of us, if you're going to be at Fanime next week, much of us will be there. We'll be covering the event, and there will be no morning show next week. So you guys can sleep in and don't have to wake up early in the morning just to watch us. But yeah, like definitely there's a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline, and if anything, Fanime is going to be where we're at for next week, and you'll definitely see some coverage of Fanime coming out within the coming weeks. But aside from that, that's going to do it. Oh yeah, and you can follow me on Twitter at Defective Naruto if you wish to do so. But anyways, with that, we will see you guys in 2 weeks.